Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer. Joining me today is General Ravi Shankar as we take a look at what is happening between India and China. Is there a change in strategy? Are they talking to each other, perhaps overtly and covertly? Are there other things that are going to be agreed upon? Because it appears that both sides are both sides are ready for a thaw. So let's welcome General Ravi Shankar and see what he has to say about it. General Ravi Shankar, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel. How are you, sir?
Thanks a lot once again, Shreyarji. It's a pleasure to be on PGurus and talk on something which is contemporary and ongoing. Like I heard your introduction to say whether there's a thaw. I don't know if there's a thaw, to be very honest. But there is a change. There is a subtle change in this relationship between India and China. And it is driven by a few factors, something like, the gap between India and China is closing. It might not be apparent because we all know that their economy, as they stated, is got about 17 trillion and all that, and ours is just about 4 trillion. Many people say they're 6 times our size and all that, and you can't catch up with China. Well, that is all nonsense. Overall power doesn't go by just having a great economy. The gap is closing, and we need to understand while India is rising, China is declining. And I'll prove it in a couple of slides down the line. So they are finding it difficult. We all know that. Just today, USA has implemented all the tariffs. From today onwards, all the tariffs which were announced earlier are implemented. Even Turkey has implemented 40% tariffs on Chinese goods. Malaysia, they're all good friends of China. And EU has also taken things. So, Chinese exports are going to fall. It's not only EVs. There's a glut in the steel market also. So they're dumping steel all over the world, and that's also being resisted. So overall, China's prospects are not great. And we've spoken earlier, their internal issues and all. And I'll give a glimpse of all these. Consumption going down, demographic profile, so it's not happy. Whereas India is on a complete different trajectory altogether. So China is reaching out to us. And in this kind of a situation, we have to understand what's the subtle shift. With China, nothing is overt. Nothing is said too much. You have to infer from, peripheral talk and dialogue. And that's how it goes. And, there are signs. So what I'll do is, with your permission, I'll put you through those slides. And
Yes,
then
sir.
we will, you just look at this, Global Times comes out with this article, India's diplomacy as a Jaishankar problem, as if Jaishankar is the villain of the whole story. Within 10 hours, this article is taken down. I mean, it's surprising. What is the meaning of it? Why? And if you read this article, they've made it appear as if our foreign minister is the villain in the whole piece. And they've also made out in this article something very significant. That Jaishankar and the military are obstructing China's entry into India. And there's a lobby within India. And mind you, we're not talking of a commercial lobby and all, within the ministry, which wants China in. And, Jaishankar is the barricade to that. So this fellow Wang Yuming has absolutely lambasted Jaishankar. Now this is taken off within 10 hours. This is something I have. I have the entire PDF, which is unheard of. Unheard of that Global Times would do this. Why did they do it? You have to understand why. People now say, no, BRICS is coming up, SCO is coming up. So how is it feasible that, if you rile up the external affairs minister, that to someone as prominent as Jaishankar, then our relationship with India will be bad. That, of course, is there, but that's the obvious answer. That's the obvious answer, right? Someone must have suddenly realized, what are we doing? Jaishankar is and Mr. 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙀 are, Modi's right and left hand man in the international stage, and they set the tune internally. And probably the guys who are asking for Chinese investment and all are still not on certain feet. They would have thought so. And there is more to lose than go ahead with such a article and they pulled it off. That's my view. And it is significant. Well, like I want to repeat it to everyone. Never, I've been reading Global Times ever since I can remember. Never have I seen this happen. There has to be something significant for such a event to happen. So I wrapped my head around this whole story. I said, look, why is this happening? You have to understand why this is happening. Look at this. In the past 1 month, we've done a lot of shows where we've said Xi Jinping is either sidelined or he was absent for some time after the third plenum, all that. Then there was this 𝗣𝗚𝗍 meet. 𝗣𝗚𝗍 is the elders meet. There, it's very clearly now coming out that Xi Jinping was given a dressing down internally. And that is why you see Xi Jinping's tone has changed. He's come out of the hiding. We don't know what's his status still, but it doesn't appear that he is now so affirmative as he was. And they seem to, internally, China seems to have changed some track. But like all things in China, we'll know the actual direction of the track a little way down the line. So no need to hurry up. But then you connect this up with what's happened with the other post. So there's change in China. The point is there's a change. That's a big inference. So someone has started thinking, look, what we do, others don't like, and it matters that they like. Okay, it's not so simple. Now, this is the fact. Why is all this thinking coming about? This is the GDPs in 2022. 2022, you are still the fastest growing GDP, and China was behind you. Okay. Now, 24, this is the list, top 20 list. Whatever is in dark green are the top 20 countries which are growing. Of course, Guyana is growing very high because oil finds there and all that. And you'll see Niger, Palau, these are all small, Senegal, these are all small countries. So they can grow at that rate, there's no big deal. India is 11th. In the top 20, you don't see China in this, in 24. This is the list for 24. You don't see China. You see the map on the right with the circle, there's no dark green for China. So China is dropping off. And that too is fake, whatever is there. They say 5%. 5% today's thing appears. Today, South China Morning Post says it's not that much. So that's why I say, when I say the relative gap is closing, there's a movement up and down. Not prominent, but prominent enough to catch everyone's this thing, and prominent enough to worry China. That's the more important thing. Now, again, we look at this. What Global Times says: China India industrial chain integration benefits multinationals. So in this, they're talking of Apple and all that. So they want to tug in to the Apple shift from China to India, and they're portraying as if it is the India-China participation and all. But the fact is, Apple has taken a clear idea, clear view, notwithstanding any other issues, that we are going to shift to India. Incidentally, I don't know if our viewers know, joint viewers from Ganashot and PGurus, that Apple iPhone 16 is not going to be made in China. It's going to be made only in India. In between, reports had come out with the quality of parts coming from India are poor, the phones are poor, Apple had put a stop, nothing. It's now very clear. And I'm not talking about Indian press. I mean, everyone should know by now, I don't talk through Indian press. I'm talking through Chinese press. So there is a change. And this change is being felt in China. Okay. Now, again, this is Nikkei Asia, which says, look, India is edging warily to accept more investment. Yeah. Now, again, if you remember, just after the budget, there was news that Chinese investment is going to come, X, Y, Z. But 1 month down the line, there's some wariness in the whole story. It might happen, might not happen. It might happen selectively with a lot of this thing. A lot of feedback has gone, because I think some people in the economic affairs ministry and the finance ministry shot their mouth off. And people are now realizing, no, you can't allow China to come in so easily. So there's a wariness. And this, India has to impose 30% tariff on steel from China and Vietnam. And mind you, India is a lead in this. You know what China is doing? I mean, we all know. They have relocated their factories to Vietnam or Malaysia or some even to Bangladesh, but I don't think Bangladesh or anything will come out now. Mexico. And they'll be produced from there and sent. Like they're setting up factories in Mexico and you making use of NAFTA to push it into USA. So now we have now stopped there because a lot of steel mills from China had relocated to Vietnam and they were selling it off as Vietnam steel. And Vietnam was not a steel producer earlier. So now you block that. And India is the first to do it. Others will now follow suit. This gives strength to even countries like USA to say, okay, not only direct exports or from imports from China will be put on this tariff, all routed exports will also be coming into the whole story. Then you look at it. Japan wants to sell steel now to us. They are pivoting away from China. They are now looking at US and India market. Another major issue, property. Look, they say that India's property sector is going strength to strength. That's a clear indication that our economy is on upswing. And there, the main problem is property, which is sinking their economy. It is like an anchor, which has anchored their economy to underwater levels, not letting it rise up. Okay. And now, you see this, they're talking new nuclear submarine. India still lags China in naval strength. But they also know when you have 2 nuclear submarines, your strength force multiplies by a square. The thing with the nuclear submarine is if you have 1, it is 1. If you have 1 more, it is not 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, it's a square. Your power goes up by a square. Nuclear submarines, the whole story is different. Okay. And so, which is a major addition. They know it. But yet they will say, we are not competing with China. Like I said, we are trying to close the gap. Again, this shift is happening. This gets covered there. Right. This is very significant. This came about 10 days back. I mean, I'm now connecting all the dots over a 2-week horizon. They said, when defense minister went to US, 2 treaties got signed. One is exchange of liaison officers. That one officer of ours will be posted in the Indo-PACOM and theirs will be posted in India, American. This is not simple. Huh? And we have this supply logistics arrangement. Logistics supply arrangement, yeah. This is in addition to the 4 fundamental agreements we had earlier. USA does not have these ties or agreement with any other country. Some of these agreements are beyond alliance partners. So China is worried. Okay. Now everyone says, look, India-US relations are not good. I agree they're not in the best of their health. But you look at the military to military relation, which we discussed, if you remember in the last podcast, we spoke. When you talk of India-US relations, the strongest BRIC as the military. Now it gets reported in South China Morning Post. They say it's pulled off a miracle because China will give its left arm, right arm, left leg, all its limbs to get into such a, I mean, not even such an arrangement, to get into some kind of a happiness mode with USA. It's not happening, right? Now, then this is something very significant. You'll ask me, why is Anwar Ibrahim's visit to India very great? After all, he's from Malaysia. I mean, people must understand. This is something people, if you go back, Mahathir, who was their prime minister, he was completely anti-India. That chap Zakir Naik is hanging around in Malaysia, and Malaysia was showing signs that it couldn't care a damn to India, and it will go towards China. Out of the blue, this fellow comes here, and he starts meeting our prime minister, sings a different tune, and not only sings a different tune, in the hotel in which he was staying, he sang a Raj Kapoor tune also. I'm forgetting the name. I think Awara Se Hai. Okay. And he went back.
Right.
So why? Shift. The shift which is happening. Others are exhibiting this shift. We might not understand what we are. No heavyweight will understand the shadow which he casts. It is for others to feel that shadow or the weight. Okay. This is the story which I am trying to say. And look at this. Now, this is from China. They say, look, Western order is crumbling. We can get together and we'll fulfill our destiny. The fellow wants to ride on our shoulder to fulfill his destiny. And in doing so, he'll put weight on us and kill us. You see, that's the larger issue in this whole story. And if you read the whole thing, today, you look at this, you look at the first slide which I showed you, why they pulled the whole thing out, change. The US-India relationship is going through pangs of problems, but it is fundamentally strong. The China-India relationship is changing, and the shift is towards us. And in my opinion, this will continue. I will say, look, this old fellow is talking all nonsense. I agree. Look at this. This graph. You know what this graph is? This graph tells you the number of startups in China from times immemorial. In 2018, there were 51,000 startups in China. Okay? 2024, there are 1,200. See the fall in startups. Okay? And you'll agree, anyone will agree with me, or startups today are the ones which are handling all these disruptive technologies. As of today, we have over 100 unicorns, startup unicorns. So the shift which is happening, yeah, we can take it off. We can take the slide off now, unless you want to refer. So there's the shift which is happening is something which we need to realize. We spoke last week about the Indo-US relationship. Now I'm talking about the Indo-Sino-Indian relationship. Maybe next week we'll talk of Russia-India relationship. After all, there's a story coming up because Mr. 𝗏𝗏 has gone to Russia to brief Mr. Putin, and this is after the visit to Ukraine by the Prime Minister. Some, parley has taken place. So is India playing the mediator? And mind you, the President Putin has said he'll accept only 3 countries. He'll accept Brazil, China, and India as mediators. China as a mediator won't be acceptable to the West. I mean, that is very clear. It might be acceptable to Putin. Brazil, USA will have problems, right? So it leaves you with whom? Who else can mediate? Already I see the first move coming out. So India's status is changing. China's status is also changing. And this relationship is going through a change. Now, what does it mean? I mean, where does it take us? Are we going to see some thaw on the LAC and things might go forward? Possible. Because yesterday in, I think in Germany, or in EU, when external affairs minister was there, he spoke of, the problems with China are almost 75% over, 25% left, all that. But 25% is still a long way. We'll leave it at that. So there is a shift which is happening. And that is what we need to be cognizant of. We'll keep track of this. And it's a good sign for India. Mind you, all this, one might say, look, our neighborhood has gone to dogs, all that. But even that's not happening. I've done shows on Bangladesh. There's a lot of vitriol coming from Bangladesh. Understandable. But in this, I got some fantastic views from Sri Lanka. People in Sri Lanka are now thankful about what India has done. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to do an update on Bangladesh. So all those who want to know what's the view from Sri Lanka and what's the view from Maldives, join me tomorrow and I will go over it. I mean, it's actually, I couldn't believe some of the comments which come from Sri Lanka and from Maldives. So there's a shift which is happening. And whatever is happening in Bangladesh is temporary. There's also a shift happening in Pakistan. And it's going down. And yesterday I did a show with Mr. 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝘆, who's a Canadian expat, Pakistani expat who's settled in Canada. And he keeps track of events in Pakistan. And he felt for the first time, that's what he told me, that for the first time he feels that he sees in the horizon breakup of Pakistan. So that is a different story we can do differently. But if you look at this whole thing, we are well up, doing well. China is struggling. And I think we need to recognize this moment and see where it goes forward. So I'll take your questions and we can just have a discussion and then open it up.
Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. Certainly, it's good to hear from people in Sri Lanka and Maldives as they see how India as a bigger country also has taken a very mature approach to this. Didn't match statement for statement, didn't try to do all that theatrics, but quietly worked behind the doors and waited for some things to stabilize before you start saying, okay, now you come talk to us. This is what you really need, and we'll help you with that. And I think that's where things stand. But as far as Bangladesh is concerned, we are still seeing a lot of posturing and grandstanding. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Ultimately,
they'll come back. They don't have a choice. In fact, Professor Yunus, he did mention in an interview or something, that what can we do without India? After we have to go for everything to India. So that will filter down. I'm confident.
Yes, indeed. Sir, what I would like you to do, if you don't mind, is sort of summarize where you see this thing going ahead in the next couple of weeks. Because we'll be back again with you in a couple of weeks' time. We'll take stock of what is happening in this region. This is becoming the most important region now. India, Bangladesh, China, Russia, Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka is going to elections. And there's some things that are going to be changing there too. So, sir, please give a 2 weeks heads up while I go and line up the questions for both of us.
Yeah, actually, I've done a major show on Sri Lanka. It was last week with Ambassador 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙀. Have a look at it. You'll get an in-depth view of how the elections in Sri Lanka are going to pan out. One. Number two, how we've covered our bases. We're in Sri Lanka at this point of time in a situation where it doesn't matter which party wins. who becomes the next president. We've covered our bases. And Sri Lanka knows that, right? Whether it is 𝗒𝙗𝙣𝙑, who's from the NPP, New People's Party, or Ranil Wickremesinghe, or Sajid Premadasa, or Namal Rajpaksha. I don't think he's in the fray, but the other three are there. So anyone who is coming, we are in the loop. Muzu, he's changed. He's going to come to India on a visit, and he's seeking a FTA with India. And he's suddenly, the hard reality of governance is over. Abhi, I'm very sure, ये जो आदमी पहले बोलता था India out, अभी बोलेगा India in. Okay, I mean, I'm just waiting for him to come and say, please India in, please India in. So I have no doubt about it, and we should be magnanimous at this stage. Okay. Pakistan. No, Pakistan is linked to our J&K elections, right? J&K elections, they're going to go into 3-phase elections from 18 to, and the results will come out by 1st or 2nd October. We'll see what happens. The mere fact that we are taking those, going through those elections, will give heartburn to the people of Pakistan. I mean, look at it this way. They'll say, so far they've been saying, oh, Kashmir is a problem, and this and that and all that. And here Kashmir is going through elections nicely. Whichever party comes will, form the government, and things are coming back to normalcy. Oh yeah, there will be issues. There is a unsatisfied element within Kashmir. It's not going to go away easily. What's shown for the past 30 years will probably take another 10-20 years to normalize. But you're coming back to democratic roots and things like that. Look at Pakistan, where democracy is gone for a toss completely. Today, Balochistan and KPK are in issues. That KPK chief minister was detained, and a whole lot of PTI members of the National Assembly, they call it MNAs, like our MPs, they were put inside the parliament and locked up. Actually, they were locked up by the police and the army. So that's in a chaos. So you'll see a clarity emerging out of our neighborhood. I expect in about 2 weeks to see where we are going. And my guess is Pakistan will deteriorate, Maldives will improve, Sri Lanka will get some clarity, a new government in place, and Bangladesh, we'll see where it goes. Because the people of Bangladesh, for some reason, वो अभी जो मैं बोलूंगा वो हिंदी में बात करूंगा, because it's only in Hindi you can explain it. वो भूत सवार है उनका, सर पे भूत सवार है. वो भूत जब तक नहीं उतरेगा, it will take time. So we'll wait. I mean, you have to have strategic patience with Bangladesh. So this is at the global level, we need to play our cards smartly. The golden opportunities in Russia, right? Need to repair our relationship with USA, and that will take time. That will take time because elections are there, and we don't know who's going to come out. We don't know whom to talk and how to talk at this point of time. Right? Virtually, the Biden administration is a lame duck administration. But notwithstanding that, like I said, military to military contact is still strong. So we need to build on that. And of course, China will have to handle with care. So I think I've given a wrap up, and after 2 weeks, we'll take a call where all this is going. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. First question. Thank you, 𝗣𝗚𝘂𝘆 AP, for becoming a YouTube member. Next question. JBJP wants to know, this is for me. You live in USA. Based on American discourse, what is your estimate opinion on the actual GDP of China? What do Americans say? What is the true number? I would direct you to a website, LEI, Real Talk. I think it's called Lee's, REAL, Real Talk. Lee's Real Talk. She has done a specific episode calculating the GDP of China, the real GDP of China. She's a finance analyst. She has worked in the finance industry for many years. Like me, she said, okay, now I'll start doing podcasts, and she does that very well respected. So Lee's Real Talk, take a look at that, and look for that particular episode. You'll get all your answers. I don't want to repeat it here. Swaminathan Sundaram wants to know, Sumit Jain, Rohit's friend, is spreading false propaganda that 𝗖𝙗𝘗 entered China, I think. Arunachal Pradesh, could you please comment on that?
Nothing has happened, don't worry. Nothing has happened. The Indian army has very clearly denied, even Chinese army has denied, nothing has happened.
Amitesh Behera wants to know, why no action taken against those creating fake narratives?
The government will take it. That's up to the government.
Another question to me. Namaste Andy, in which direction the swing states in USA are moving? Media showing Harris, but if Trump wins, he holds China +1 strategy more strong. India would get more advantages. Your view, sir. General Ravi Shankar, you just told me something about tariffs kicking in from today as far as China and US are concerned. Talk to us a little bit about that, sir, because we are seeing some balancing going on, and I'll come in with the swing states after that. Over to you.
Look, I read it today only. I think USA put up 100% tariffs on EVs. And I read this today in the evening that those will come into effect from today. All the tariffs which are put on China. And they put tariffs on other things also. I didn't get time to go through the whole thing. But if those tariffs come, I mean, balancing will be there, but how much balancing will be there? Right. And of course, there's a second issue of EVs, which I came to know when I was in USA 2 months back and visited you also. You see, the Chinese EVs have a range of about 200 odd kilometers. And that's peanut for USA. In USA, EV needs at least 350 to 400 kilometers minimum. And that's the impression I got when I spoke to you and many others who, and very significantly, I moved quite a bit in USA, and I've come back and moved. You'll be surprised. I've seen more vehicles, Chinese vehicles in Chennai than in USA. Right? Of course, not that I'm seeing too many. After I came back from USA, I saw about, so far I've seen about 10 to 15 BYDs on the road. Not much. Once in about 5-6 days, I see a BYD. I didn't see that also in China. So there is, I see two streaks to this whole thing. That we say EVs and, they're going to break the market and all. I don't see that happening. If those cheap vehicles were so attractive, people would buy. People are not buying. Why? So there is, I leave it to the wisdom of the people. They'll probably put the biggest tariff by saying no.
True. Viewers, on the swing states in United States, what I'd like you to keep in mind are two things. One is that the number of people who now consider themselves as independent, neither Democrat nor Republican, but they will do it on a case-by-case basis. That has been going up. The independents were the biggest constituency in 9 states in the 2022 elections, and the independents are expected to grow in 20 states come November. So this particular segment has gotten disillusioned with both the Democrats and the Republicans, and they're saying we will hold our cards close to our chest and we will decide come election time. Now, there was a straw poll that was done by CNN no less, that took a poll of such people. They're also called as undecided voters because they are not showing their party affiliations. And there, they said that 65% would vote for Trump, 27% for Kamala Harris, with the remaining undecided still. Now, this is one poll. Survey may be 1,500 or 2,000. So that is one side. The other important poll is of Elon Musk, who said he conducting an unscientific poll. He said, this was before the debate between Kamala and Trump. He said, who do you think should be the president of the United States, Trump or Kamala Harris? And the number of people who took that vote was 23 million. 23 million people. Assume half of them were United States citizens or people who can vote. So let's make it 10 million. 10 million is a huge sampling size. And in that, it was 73% Trump, 27% Kamala. There is no contest here. These are on different planes, except there is a lingering doubt about how the actual game is going to be played on the ground. That's where the doubts are right now. And you have to wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah. Elections are something, completely unpredictable. And in a close election like this, I'll not put my bets on anything. After all, we know what happened in elections in India.
Yeah.
So, people have their own mind. So wait. People will swing the way they want.
Next one is Akash Krishnan Tadani wants to know. Akash Krishan Tadani. Despite the present contours of global regional geopolitics, China shall remain our enemy. China shall maintain link up with Pak to continue with its threat towards us. Your views?
Yeah, that there's no doubt about it. China will, let's be very frank. China will try its best. Look, what will China want? Let me put it. If the Chinese line will still forget the border, will do trade. Is that acceptable to us? No. They have to give way on the border for any trade to go ahead. Even then, we have to be very clear that, we shouldn't be swamped tomorrow. We shouldn't be China's alternative to USA or Europe. And then our growth will be killed completely. So we have to take it very, this thing. Look, why this period is interesting is you have a weakening China and you have a rapidly weakening Pakistan. And both are at a stage where they cannot recover. I'm making this statement. China and Pakistan cannot recover for different reasons. One has got too much population, the other has no population. That's the basic thing. So if that is the case, you have to play your hand very coolly. And I think the next 3 to 4 years are very critical in this context. The next 3 to 4 years, how India plays its hand, whether it's in trade, whether it's diplomacy, whether it's in macroeconomics or microeconomics or neighborhood policy or in defense, will be the make and break thing. I might sound hackneyed, but I'm going to catch all these straws and put it in the basket for all of you regularly. He and I might go twice a week hereafter on the international affairs, and we'll get back to you. In the meanwhile, I'll get you like my CASA webinars, the best of the people. I'll get ambassadors, I'll get generals who have held very major appointments, except getting a chief. Probably everyone else I've got on my show, a DGMO, a vice chief, army commanders, top guys who know what they're talking. And all my webinars will be available on PGurus. We'll see how to make it live hereafter, and so that you can see live, right? And you're going to get the best. That you subscribe to Gunnershot, you subscribe to PGurus, you will get the best quality. And I can assure you, this is what I've been saying from day one. I will be unmatched for quality. I will not give you a US viewpoint. I will not give you a Pakistani viewpoint. I will not give you a Chinese viewpoint. I will not give you a BJP viewpoint. I will not give you a Tamil, the DMK viewpoint, or for that matter, a Congress viewpoint. I'll give you an Indian viewpoint, which is best for India. Right? And that's what you're going to get. So take your choice, all of you.
Yes, indeed. Today morning, we put out a very, very beautiful discussion that General Ravi Shankar had with General Ata Hasnain, Gautam, I don't remember the last name.
Gautam Mukhopadhyay. He was the ambassador to Myanmar. And General Gautam Murthy, who's the founder of that virtual think tank CASA. Right? And we keep doing this. And yesterday we did it on Pakistan. Not yesterday, day before we did it on Pakistan. We keep doing it.
Yeah, and I think that also is on our channel.
Yeah, we will get it. I'm sure you'll be able to put it. And maybe end of the month or beginning of next month, I'm going to do a very interesting thing. I'm giving you a heads up. I'm going to get this lady, Aisha Siddiqa, who's written this book of military businesses of Pakistan. and she's now come up with a second edition of that. With additions, I'm going to get her and get to talk to her to understand the military businesses of Pakistan. We all talk, Pakistan has military businesses. She's done a research and written an 800-page book. She knows. Okay, and she's sitting in London. So I'm getting through to her first week. I'll get to her to speak to you. She's come on Gunner Shot already and spoke, but we'll get more. Yeah.
Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. And there are lots of comments. I don't bother to. Look, we are interested in telling you the truth. You take it whichever way you want. Thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. And viewers, we'll be back again with General Ravi Shankar. We are having a regular content. It's on not just on PGurus 1, but also on PGurus 2. So if you're not subscribed to PGurus 2, then you will not get the notification. So I request you all to subscribe to PGurus 2. And you know how to do that. It's essentially, you need to go to our website, pgurus.com, or on our app, PGurus app. There's an auto subscribe. You can go and click on whichever ones you want to subscribe. One button click and it will automatically subscribe you to multiple channels. So thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar. We'll be back again very soon. Namaskar.